Good evening and welcome to episode 25 of the British Boxing Blog podcast. We've got both myself, Andrew and Stephen, alongside special guest. We have Gary Forrest from MTK Newcastle. We're going to ask Gary a few things about MTK, about his love of boxing and pretty much everything else we can think of.
If we go back to last December, that was the MTK Newcastle dinner show at the Hilton in Gateshead. I was there, Andrew sadly couldn't make it that night, and it was great. It was one of the best, well, the best dinner show type format I've attended. So how did that come about, and what was, did that help combine it? You combine the MTK Newcastle thing along with the High Street group, and you sort of had it all under one roof.
To be honest with you, I love the old-fashioned dinner boxing shows, and they seem to have died off a little bit. And by that I mean, I don't mean pie and peas on a plastic tray. I mean a proper dinner show with some boxing on and then some entertainment on, and that concept for me works. You've got to get the balance right between the amount of boxing fights that you've got on, because the women will lose interest if there's too many boxing fights on. The night, if the boxing drags on too long. So it's getting that balance right there, but I thought we got that just about right. Could have done with maybe one more fight. And then obviously we had the live entertainment on after. And you mix in a little bit of charity with it as well. And we raised quite a few quid for Macmillan and one of the and Hadrian's School on the night. I think that concept works well, and what it demonstrated to me was there's a lot of people went that night. It was the first time at a boxing show, and they didn't know what to expect. And virtually every one of them says, when you're doing the next one, because we want to come back. So, I think...
Is that what you're aiming for as well, trying to capture a new audience potentially?
Not necessarily actually a new audience, but to engage a lot of the local businesses. To say, you know what, fellas, there's some talented boxers in the area, and if we all get behind them and support them and put these dinner shows, and we can put a little bit back into the region charity wise, and we can help move these boxers forward, and you can have a good night. And everybody loved it. Every single person who went to that show said it was fantastic.
Stephen came back raving about it to me, genuinely.
It sounded daft because I was sitting there with Roy Kelly and Craig Johns and stuff, and we didn't expect to be fed and watered and everything, and we were well looked after. It was, I think obviously it was December, it was pretty soon before Christmas, and it was just a positive atmosphere throughout the whole place, and everyone was beaming around it that night.
So our plan now, to be honest, is to do 2 of them a year. We'll do one in the summer, it'll be a summer ball type of concept around it. I think we've got a date, end of July is already booked in. I'd actually booked it in for for July the 11th, or July the 12th. I booked it in, and then I'm telling the missus, it's all sorted, summer ball July the 12th, and she was like, you really have lost the plot.
I can sense a family holiday or something coming up here.
What have I done? Like, she says, your daughter gets married on July the 12th.
Even worse holiday.
And she's actually married Chad Ellis.
Oh, there you go. So he can't box, that's the main reason.
Oh shit, Chad can't be fighting on that show. So obviously they took it well, and we've rearranged the date for a couple of weeks after that. But
the wedding date of the show.
The show. So so then we'll do another one just before Christmas, just the same. So we'll do 2 of them shows a year. And the only downside to it was that the venue wasn't quite big enough. We could have doubled the amount of people in there, to be honest with you. We had to turn a lot of people away. And we didn't, the boxes weren't allowed to sell tickets, so there was no real boxer support there really.
Interesting that, because obviously all of our experience with the local shows, like one of those main issues is, for the boxers, it's shifting the tickets. So obviously taking that out of their hands a bit and relieving the pressure.
So there was no tickets for the boxers to sell. So I think we could if we had, the venue was twice the size, we would have filled it. And we're positive that both the summer one and the one again just before Christmas will be just as successful.
Where did your involvement start with MTK Newcastle? Was that via Chad or was that completely
No.
separate to that?
No,
so what you want, but you don't have
Involvement in MTK started a couple of years ago, and then it's evolved from there. I had the gym that we've got was Bad Boy.
Yeah,
and obviously there was
High Street,
and that got obviously the Bad Boy brands, like, you know, we couldn't use that anymore, and that's dying on its feet, I believe. And then, you know, we got talking to what we wanted to do, how we wanted to move it forward. MTK were a good partner, good fit for us, so we got the agreement to brand it as MTK Newcastle. That was the starting point, just starting with the gym. We have MMA fighters in there, we've a good camp of MMA fighters, got a real great talent coming through, a lad called Joe Calbooton. He's got the ability to go all the way. And then from there we started building on the boxing side. And at the time, the gym that was in Felon at the time was starting to struggle. Gary Barr,
Fighting
Chance, they were looking for a new base. Welcomed them in, had a meeting with Gary and the likes, and we agreed that, you know, we'd bring them into the gym, we'd give them an opportunity and a base, and it's took off from there, to be honest with you. The lads have done really well, and expand on that, but again we're limited for space, so we can't take too many fighters on. There's only so much space in there.
Does that work better in terms of giving the boxers that you do have, like, the time, and Gary Barr obviously giving them his time for the training? So I popped in, and obviously there's the four of them bouncing off each other, training together, working together, and it seemed quite a tight little group. Yeah,
I believe that, me personally, I believe the best way any sportsman is even if it's in boxing, like where you're in the ring by yourself, but if you're part of a team and you feel part of a team, you know, when you're down, they'll pick you back up and help you through your difficult times. I think it's important to get that team spirit going. We have the same in the MMA, which is now upstairs. So we moved MMA upstairs, boxing downstairs. So they've got an MMA team, they've got a boxing team, and actually both teams are now pro teams are starting to come together. So there's good team spirit there now, and there's still room to add a few boxes to that. We're not going to add to that camp, but they do get a lot of personal attention off Gary, and Gary's really committed to it. He's a young trainer coming through, and I think that, you know, and he's a good coach. I've been watching him, and you know, I think all the lads are improving.
How much involvement do you have, say, I know you're obviously a very busy man work-wise as well, do you sort of leave Gary to get on with it and you just sort of see it from the background, or do you regularly go down there and, you know, you're always...
I'm in the gym every day. I tend to go in the morning and do my own workout, and sometimes on an evening I'll pop in. And I'll speak to Gary 3-4 times a week, just to catch up on the fighters, on what's happening. You know, any fighters interested in joining the camp. You know, and feedback on how the lads are doing, to be honest with you. So I'm in regular contact with Gary. Obviously, the nearer a fight comes, the more contact we have. You know. So no, it's good.
And how much contact do you have with sort of MTK on their global scale? Because obviously they're putting on a show in Newcastle coming up. And your fighters, or the MTK Newcastle.
Yeah, so the MTK Global, that show's actually it's promoted by MTK Global, but I'll head that up.
Yeah.
So you know, they're liaising everything through myself. The great thing about that setup, if I'm honest with you, is they take away all the. So we've got the venue sorted out. Obviously, the cards agreed with myself. The headline fighters agreed by myself. The purses are agreed with me. Who's going on the show is agreed by me. And then what they do is they wrap around an infrastructure around that. That means that I don't get bogged down into the day-to-day stuff. You know what I mean?
The bits you don't want to be.
Which I literally haven't got the time to do. So it actually works very, 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 very well. It's the same as the Hilton show. You know, I decided who was on it, the venue, what the ticket prices were. Also, I've done all of that, but then I just hand it over and say, there you go, fellas. That's who's on the show. That's the ticket prices. You know, let's take it forward. They'll do the social media, most of the social media, advertising, marketing. They'll pull the show together. You know, they'll keep me updated on ticket sales. It works well.
Sorry, how pleased were you to secure that venue? I think me and Andrew's touched on this a lot before. Whereas boxing in the northeast, you've got your arena, which I think when Ritson got beat, that's off the picture for at the minute. But then we've struggled to find a sort of venue that is that sort of medium-sized place between your Metro Radio Arena and then your little sort of your Rating Meadows type of places. And I think we'd heard good things about that before, and I think someone else in the northeast said, it'd be great to do a show there, but obviously yourselves and MTK have got in there first. Was that a big selling point for you to use the new Eagles Arena?
Massive. The key thing one of the key things I want to deliver to the northeast is this is where one of the failings of boxing in the northeast is the production of your unless Eddie Hearn comes up, the production of the shows, in my opinion, isn't of the greatest quality.
Yeah.
And if you want to encourage women and to go to the shows who aren't necessarily got a relative fight in the events, you wanted to make a night out of it, an event of it, and we're going to the boxing tonight. Then you've got to improve. Then the production's got to be really good. Right, it's what Matchroom do.
It's like listening to Eddie Hearn here.
Yeah.
But it's like when I said about that sort of new audience, like you could argue Eddie Hearn has seen that nationally and taken it almost away from, as you say, relatives of the fighters. It's sort of stereotypical men just going for the boxing because they're old school boxing fans, whereas as I say, it's more of an event now. It's the whole package almost.
Exactly. Me and my missus fly all over the world watching boxing fights, but she never used to like boxing, but the reality is it's now a terrific night out. The problem you've got in Newcastle, apart from the arena, you had no venue, or even the northeast, really, you had no real venue. They've tried everywhere, and it just doesn't create that atmosphere. It doesn't create the production, enable the production to be where you want it to be. And it's not just the production as in the light show sector. It's the area. It's the feel of it, being able to walk out afterwards and go down into town or whatever it might be. And that's one of the problems. So getting that venue was a real plus, to be honest with you, and it's something we want to really work on developing that relationship with them.
I think that's how it feels to us as well, from looking in from our side, that it's not just another Rating Meadows show. Do you know what I mean? Just another leisure centre type show. It feels bigger than that this time, and there's a lot of buzz being created around that now. More fighters being announced to the card. Joe Laws, Lonzo Sweaty, the lads from MTK down in Felon. So
Troy Williamson's
announced.
Darren Richardson, another one.
Richardson. So you've got a real, stacked card now of top local talent, and I think that adds to it as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, apart from Josh and Lewis, you've got all the top fighters in the area, haven't we?
I was going to say that caters for the boxing fans as well. Yeah, obviously with MTK, is it making his heavyweight debut? Is that right?
Cruiserweight debut. Who's that?
Lily?
But yeah, he's making his heavyweight debut.
Yeah, sorry.
So we've got just about every top boxer in the northeast on that show, and hopefully we know the production will be right, and hopefully it's well received. And then it gives us a platform to do more with the right production, so we're not reliant upon Matchroom coming into the area, which is really sad that you have to rely on Matchroom to come in.
It's almost they come in and say, oh, this is the big show, we need to get on board with this.
Everything stops for Matchroom knocking up once a year. You know what I mean? They cancelled the show earlier in the year, and you ask most of the managers and promoters sat there going, well, what do we do now? Where's the lads fight now? Demoralises the lads because they were going to be on this great show, now it's not happening. You know what I mean? They're back to fighting in small hall shows, Rating Meadows, no disrespect, but
No, as I say, obviously we're listening to these sorts of venues and we love going to them, but where you're sort of hardcore boxing fan, it's a totally different audience, isn't it?
Exactly, like I mentioned before, after someone listening, got a bit off Patera, it felt like the dream had died a bit, but what you're saying is that actually it hasn't. There is a lot of people, I say the dream had died, I mean,
a lot of opportunities.
Sort of that Matchroom, they will be back in a hurry, but actually there's a lot of good young fighters here who are working their way up, and there is opportunities out there for them now where maybe there wasn't, in the past.
And MTK themselves are building as well. Like, how many regular shows are they putting on now up and down the northeast?
I mean, the guys who are running them shows, I was on the phone with them over the weekend there. They did one in Glasgow, and they're doing one a week.
It's amazing.
What they're doing is absolutely fantastic. The graft that they're putting in and putting these shows, and the production is really good on these shows as well. Obviously, the only thing missing off the MTK shows is mainstream television, like your BT or your Sky. They've got they've got the live streaming, which is great quality.
And those live streams are up there with a lot of the TV programs.
It's not on Sky Telly.
It sounds like him.
That's the difference. But it's actually it's old school. It's my dad. He's not going to go on live stream.
No, he's not going to go on YouTube and click the link.
Even though it's better, you've got the commentary and all that. It's the point.
It's full on production, isn't it? What you're talking about, the value of it.
So the only thing missing off MTK really, to really propel them from a promotional point of view, not a management point of view, because I think they've already cracked that, would be to get Sky Sports or BT Sports or Channel 5 or whatever it might be, But that aside, the shows are absolutely fantastic, and I think what they're doing is great, and long may it continue, because they're showing that you can put on regular shows. And where are all these lads going to fight? The reality is, when do these lads get the opportunity to fight? We're giving them opportunities to fight on a regular basis, and that it's like anything. It's like a footballer getting a regular game for England. He's going to get better. Getting a regular game for Man City, he's going to get better. The more often they're in the ring, the better they're going to get.
We've talked about that at length, haven't we? Just like keeping these young, not young in terms of age, but in terms of their experience and the prospects, getting them in the ring regularly, it can only benefit them.
When we took over the lads from Fighting Chance, they'd had one fight that year. Right? Chad had one fight. Last year he fought 5 times. He'll fight at least 5 times this year. Right? And the same with Darren, the same with Jay Hughes. They've gone from fighting once a year, lucky if it's twice, to fighting 5 and 6 times a year.
And that puts them at a totally different stage in their career in terms of what experience they've got. And as you say, if you're going through 3 years of a career and you're getting half a dozen fights if you're lucky, what you're talking about there, all of them, there'll be a sort of 10, 12 fights in within a very short space of time, and suddenly you're looking at that.
And if we can manage them properly, and 10 in boxing for me, 10 is a big number.
Yeah,
you get to 10, right? You're 10-0. That's people go. Well, there's a guy going to fight Tyson Fury, all due respect, very very soon, right? I think he's 24-0.
He isn't he, Tom Schwartz?
Yeah, and it's a good nice little warm up. It's a good warm up show fight for Tyson. It'd be disappointing if Tyson lost that fight, to be honest with you. But he's got 24-0 because of very good management, right? Very good management. And now he's got a world title fight against. Well, it's not world. He's got a big fight against Tyson Fury. Even if he goes the distance, great. He's got another big payday off the back of that. If he gets stopped in 10 rounds or so, he's still got another big payday because he's fought Tyson Fury and he's gone some rounds with him. The guy can't lose, and it's just careful management and clever management. Hopefully we want to try to do the same without. One thing MTK do on their shows, by the way, is they put fighters in
with each other
to fight each other for titles.
I think that's been their selling point recently. That this year I've watched some cracking all MTK fights. You've got Cummins Keeler coming up in Belfast. Akeem Ennis-Brown was in a fight against Bilal Raymond the other week.
But what it's proven as well is that matchmaking's there. But what you were saying at sort of higher level, that one loss isn't the end of the road. Like if you've lost to someone with a similar record. Like with MTK, you stick at it. A couple of months later, you're going to have another shot against someone again, and like that chance to test themselves. What you sort of hinting at the balance between getting the experience, getting the rounds, and getting the wins on your record, but then being ready for a step up when it comes along.
Yeah, I've just seen them at the weekend. I saw a great performance of Charlie Edwards.
Right? Class,
absolutely class performance. Brilliant. From start to finish. Well, I think he lost his 5th fight, didn't he?
He lost earlier on,
I think
it was a decent, but
it's not the end of the world.
Only 4 or 5 fights in, and he lost. Yet he's gone and put that masterclass on at the weekend. So defeat's not the end of the world. People fear defeat too much.
There's too much emphasis on it.
Too much emphasis on it. That's why Joshua and all them won't fight each other, because they don't want that blip on the record. Just get on with it.
Time and time again, it's proved that you can't get beaten.
It just sort of smashes that aura of invincibility, doesn't it? When you're undefeated, like Joshua or whoever, knocked out all their opponents, and they can build on that. And then, as you say, they're at the point now where I think they are avoiding each other because they don't.
But we've got to be very careful because
wise to it, don't they?
We've got to be very careful that people. Joshua's on the real brink of this, by the way, of alienating both the paying viewer on Sky and the people going to his events when they know he's being fed cannon fodder in many instances.
I think that's already happened.
Cannon fodder built up by Eddie, to be fair, right? To be far better than what they actually are, right? Mm-hmm. With this the build up and all the production beforehand, absolutely brilliant, but they're built up to be far better than they are, and the reality is the public are getting wise to it, and he's got to be very, very careful. And at some point his stock might drop a little bit if he's not seen to be, taking on the proper opponents out there. I
agree. I think that's part of the reason that he's done this slight detour to America. Yeah. Because if that had been another stadium fight, I personally believe they would have seen quite a hit in the terms of the numbers. Yeah. If it was Joel Miller at Wembley, they'd have been a bit underwhelming, I think, to say the least. But then obviously now they've got, at least they can say, oh, well, it's his American debut, we can build it another way and go with that. But the next couple of fights are going to be big for him.
He's actually on that cliff edge at the moment. He's going to be very careful. Yeah. And the great thing about the MTK lads is they put the lads in against, they'll live put them in against good opposition. They'll go, we'll take them fights, and we're trying to get title fights for the lads at the present moment in time, Northern area title fights at the present moment in time. So we'll see what unfolds of that, but you won't have no fear putting them in against, for titles.
But that's what I was going to ask. Obviously in boxing, not everyone can be a world champion, not everyone can be a British champion or an English champion, and I think you also have to set your expectations accordingly in that. And is that something that the likes of, say, Chad, Darren, etc., do they have goals in mind? Do you have goals in mind for them? Do you look...
My goal for each fighter that walks through the door is for them to fulfil their potential. Yeah. Whatever that level of potential is, right? So if their level of potential is potentially to be a world champion, my goal is to get them to become a world champion. If that potential is a European champion, then let's see if we can get them to become a European champion. If it's a Northern Area title champion, then it's a Northern Area title champion. So there is no, the goals move because people improve or, whatever it might be during the career. But ultimately, the goal is a very simple one, is to get them to fulfill their potential. And hopefully keep improving, so that potential might move. Right, you get them to Northern Area. Oh, actually,
he's done that.
He's done that. Now can we go to here? Can we get him to English level? Yeah, I think we can do that. Right, that's your potential. Let's go there. And that might move again, but ultimately it's just to fulfil the potential, whatever their potential. Now, a lot of it's down in their court. They've got to want to work hard. They've got to want to learn. They've got to want to put the graft in. But the most important thing, and again, we touched on this earlier, the biggest challenge, a lot of talent in the Northeast disappears or gets demoralised because of the pressure to sell tickets. Yep. And it's wrong that talent isn't coming through because they have to sell tickets in order to make a living out of it.
It's one of our bugbears, isn't it?
We don't have that. There's no pressure on the lads to sell tickets. They've got an agreement with myself of how much they'll get per fight. They're obviously targeted to sell tickets because that builds up their support, and it builds up. It's easy to get them on shows with Matchroom because they know they're going to go and sell tickets, etc., etc. But we've got to remove that pressure that says, you know what, because you can't sell 100 tickets, I can't get you a fight.
And then what happens is they end up going on the road fighting as the away fighter, and losing the advantages.
And sort of gone at that point. Yeah, for an ambitious level anyway.
Exactly, and also the rushed. Yeah. Sometimes the rush because they've got to start selling tickets, And fans get frustrated because they want to see them fighting. You know, they can't see them fighting a journey. I'm not buying tickets to see you fight a journey all the time.
Yeah, you've already beat that. You've already beat that Bulgarian twice. Like,
yeah, you're learning. You know, so there's a balance. To be fair, there's a balance. But what we don't have is pressure on any of the lads in our gym to sell tickets, and it's the only way forward. Now that takes investment from myself to support them, and give them that foundation to say, listen, just focus on your boxing.
Yeah.
You'll sell tickets if you do well with your boxing because people want to come and watch you fight, right? Let's keep focus on your boxing. What tickets you sell is the tickets that you sell, right? And we don't want you to be lazy and not bother trying to sell any tickets because it's like anything.
It needs to pay for it to a certain extent.
We try to remove that stress, and hopefully that will pay off. That will pay off in the future, and enable them to meet that, to fulfil the potential. And then you get other lads like Joe Laws who can sell a lot of tickets, right? Who actually wants a ticket deal.
Quite handy,
right?
To get on
actually,
the card,
he doesn't want to fight on matchroom shows and get a few £1,000 because he's losing out.
Well, yeah, we heard that he made more fighting the Ray Meadows show recently,
Meadows than he does on a matchroom show. To be fair,
yeah.
So there's a balance. But the likes of Joe Laws are one-offs.
Yeah,
it's working on those individual circumstances.
Massively
Like
one-offs.
90% of the boxers out there would be snapping your hand off, I imagine, for that sort of security.
Yeah.
How flexible do you have to be, as in, you've got your MTK lads on the show, but opening your doors to say this show in May to other boxers from the region as well, to say, look, we've got this show on.
That's a challenge we've got, to be honest with you. And it is a challenge that the other managers and promoters, well, certainly the other manager, are going to have to face up to. If matchroom aren't going to come up very often, and there's going to be a dip in the amount of shows. There are only, on this show coming up in May, there's only 2 fighters that are, there's 3, Darren Surtees, and then there's the 2 for Steve Earth, and that's because I promised I'd put them on for Steve.
Is that John Green and Lawrence?
John Green and Lawrence, yeah. And that's because I said to Stephen that I'd put them on for it. We can't fully commit to that going forward because that's actually, we've now got a stacked card on a Friday night, and we're relying on a couple of knockouts to be fair. Otherwise, we'll all be sat there at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Keep things moving on.
But that is going to be a challenge because we've got MTK have got a lot of fighters now.
Yeah.
And MTK have got to come. MTK's fighters have got to come first.
They're
on
going
MTK
to be the priority,
shows.
of course.
And we could match them with some of the other fighters in the region, which would be ideal because you've got double the ticket sales out the region. Vallely's fighting Jonah. I can't remember the guy. I can't pronounce it. TK.
Jonah Valou.
Yeah. So he's
called that one.
He's fighting TK. So they've got 2 northeast fighters fighting each other in a heavyweight fight, which.
If you're relying on knockouts, by the way, that's going to be one.
That'll be fun. That'll be good fun. That.
Yeah.
It might not go the distance.
No, it hopefully won't. There's nothing better than heavyweight knockouts.
Exactly.
No, especially keep the crowd engaged as well.
So, we will have a challenge because MTK are signing more fighters all the time. We were worried whether the show on Friday night was going to go ahead at one point, so I'm trying to get them on the lads on other MTK because they've trained for it. Can I get them on another MTK show even if they have to go to Ireland or wherever it might be?
Is that the Black Flash show?
Yeah.
Is that going ahead at this point?
At the moment, we believe it's going ahead, right? So we've got 2 lads on there, and Chad and Darren Ray, and as far as they're concerned, they're fighting on that show.
Okay.
I'm on a train back up from London to make sure I'm back up in time for the show. So as far as I'm concerned, that show's fighting. At some point, we were nervous whether it was going to go ahead, so I'm trying to get them on another MTK show, and they're like, we've got that many MTK fighters at the present moment, and we've got to keep them busy.
That's a brilliant problem for them to have, though. That in terms, for the fans, and hopefully lead to just more and more shows and keeping the content coming regularly.
Yeah. You seem pretty hands-on with it, Gary. Probably more than we realised, I guess. Just
I was going to ask, what if you had do you have a job, like a title within MTK?
No, not really. No.
So when I introduce you, I'll just have to give this whole backstory.
Gary from MTK.
There you go, yeah.
So I don't have any specific title. Obviously,
how do you find the balance between your actual work, what you do, your job, and and this? Like,
everybody asks that question. I mean, Mrs. asks that question all the time. There was actually the guy from the Northern Echo came out and did an article. It was a full double-page article on how the hell do you find the balance to do all of this outside of your work as well, and
outside of your family life and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, the thing about the boxing is, my wife likes it. My daughter's getting married to Chad, so there's a family link there. So it's, you know, I've also involved in football, so there's kind of, you know, that there. None of them like football, so it's they're anti the football.
That had to take a hit.
But they go to the boxing events and they love it. So it brings this, that becomes a family occasion, for instance, you know.
Does it have you switch off from your other
But that's what it's all about. Yeah, I've been in changing rooms all my life, and I've got 4 daughters, so I've got no sons. So I get that male bonding scenario, but being back in the gym, being back in changing rooms, course, you know. So no, but I enjoy it, and I wouldn't be able to do it I wouldn't be able to do the boxing if MTK didn't have such a great infrastructure, pulling shows together, managing everything that needs to happen for the show to be a success.
That was going to be my next point, that it now feels like everything's like geared into place now. You mentioned fighting chance, and you know you don't want to be harsh on them, but as you said before, there was no regular dates, it just wasn't quite working. But now it's got, you know, your know-how coupled with the MTK brand, you know, everything working together to sort of, it feels like everything's now in place to drive forward now.
Yeah, it really is, and I think that there's an opportunity, not just in the northeast, but in most regions. But I'll focus on the northeast. There's an opportunity for us to be the dominant promotion and management company in the area. I think we'll be doing 4 shows this year. So obviously there's the show in May. There'll be a similar show in October. There'll be and then the 2 dinner shows. If we can squeeze another one in, we will. But to be honest, it's not a case of being able to do it in the northeast. I think the pressure on the rest of the MTK shows that they've got stacked up.
Yeah, of course.
The team being able to deliver that is probably would stop that from happening.
Say like 6 shows in 6 weeks. I think it was. Probably still going now.
They're still ongoing now.
At the minute with the Belfast one coming up.
Yeah. So we'll be doing the 2 big shows and then 2 dinner shows. So the lads in our gym and the MTK lads in the northeast are guaranteed 4 fights a year. Yeah. So just fighting on our northeast shows, and then if we can get them, if Matchroom turn up once a year, great. That gets another one, and we've got a couple of lads out on the show at the weekend. So
of course.
And obviously, if Jaffa's doing any shows or anything. Yeah. Maybe he's got 1 or 2 lads on there. So, but they've got 4 fights a year without fail.
That must be massive to them, because we've been quite close to them all, but mostly say Darren Ray, and we say in boxing very often on Twitter, any news Darren, and be like, nah, not yet mate, just waiting, still waiting. Ticking over,
and then now it's
mate. You know, now it's like, well actually, I'm out at the end of March, I'm out in May. You know, and he knows he's going to get dates locked in, and I think from the mindset point of view as well, not just ticking over.
As a boxer, obviously, you can only focus on your next fight. But as I mentioned the word security earlier, like, you know you've got a really strong possibility of regular dates coming up thick and fast. As you say, you can change that mindset from just being in the gym for the sake of it almost to having something clearly in sight.
For a boxer, it must be demoralising to constantly be waiting for a show to turn up for you to be able to...
From the discipline side of things?
How do you train? How do you get focused around your training? How do you get focused around your eating? Yeah. It's demoralising, and
like how we looked at you for that bit.
You know, and then when you get on the show, you know, you're not making any money because you've got to sell 80 tickets just to get a few quid out of it, and it's 9 months since you last fought and everybody's forgot you're a professional boxer.
Yeah.
It's just this this cycle just explodes.
And as you say, like, by removing those little bits that are causing the pressure and allowing them just to focus on the box. So in terms of, like, so you mentioned, like, we were talking about local boxing and stuff before. In terms of dealing with, like, other managers and promoters in the region, how have you found that so far? You had much experience in dealings with them?
Yeah. Obviously I've done quite a lot of dealings with Steve Wraith.
Yeah.
Mainly with Steve, to be honest with you. If he's had a joint shown with Jaffa, then it's Steve that I've gone through on that instance. So he's the main one that I've dealt with. I've never really dealt with.
Is that more getting his fighters on the MTK cards?
It was a mixture of both.
Anything of
a mixture of us getting some on his shows and him getting, the show coming up, him getting a couple of lads on our show. I think that, I don't know what their plans are for the future, but I understand he's looking to step out the promotional side of stuff. What happened then with his fighters, I don't know what his plans are.
Yeah, I mean, he said to us he was still looking to continue with the management side of things, but then as a manager you're looking for some way to get your boxes on, aren't you? Yeah,
for shows, and there's not enough promoters and stuff in the northeast, is there?
But like you said before, I think sometimes, like we said, it was relying on matchroom at times up here in the northeast, and it can be sort of a bit of a, I don't want to say boxing wasteland, because like part of the reason we set up British Boxing Blog, I know we've called it British Boxing Blog, was because we were passionate about northeast boxing and we wanted to, do our little token bit to help get the message out there that there is some good kids up here and some good fighters. And I think that seems similar to what yourselves and MTK are trying to do, saying actually, if they're not going to come to us, then sod it, we'll do it ourselves, we'll take the baton and we'll create our own.
Yeah. MTK have got, they must have, don't know how many boxes got in Britain now, but it must be close to a couple of hundred.
Easy.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they've got to find shows for them lads to fight on a regular basis. And when you've got control of so many, when you're managing so many good quality fighters, one of the solutions is to put your own good quality shows on.
Yeah.
So you're in control of how often the lads are fighting, the quality of the shows that they're fighting on. And in my opinion, that them MTK shows are only going to get bigger, more powerful and better as the years go on. And at some point you'd like to think you would get a TV deal with one of the channels, and then I think you'll see
well, they'd originally signed with Box Nation, hadn't they, to show a lot of their in-house MTK shows, but then they seem to have moved a little bit away from that, obviously going through IFL.
It's a subscription channel in Box Nation.
It's very niche, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very, very niche.
I subscribed to Box Nation. I can't remember the last time I watched it.
It's Tommy Ward, early hours in the morning. Tommy Ward.
You can count on one hand all the amount of fights you've actually sat and watched.
I sit and
not many sitting up on a Friday night at 2 a.m.
Yeah. So I'd love to know how many subscribers they've still got.
I'd love to know how it's still going.
I think that's what he was getting at.
I genuinely believe I genuinely thought that it would struggle this year, and it might even cease this year, if I'm honest with you. Hopefully Frank Warren keeps it going, but the reality of the situation, they get more viewers through IFL TV on streaming than they would if the lads were fighting on Box Nation.
And obviously a lot of Box Nation sort of crown jewels are migrated to BT Sports now as well. So
that diminishes Box Nation anyway. So it makes more sense to use IFL TV and do live streaming, and that's picking up all the. My kids never watch the telly; they watch YouTube.
Yeah.
It's getting that way.
It's like, so in 5 years' time, using YouTube to watch boxing fights and football matches and stuff like that, just be second nature.
What we need to do, build a YouTube channel.
That's exactly what you've got to do.
There's something going on, don't there? There's the start.
You mentioned before, you're obviously a big boxing fan yourself. You flip between both cars. You said you've been around the world watching boxing. So this current role you've got here must be great for you. Just as a fan, you can influence these people's lives, help these people go further, and you can mentor them, and you can really get involved, on the inside of the sport that you love.
Yeah, it's perfect, really. I can be as involved or uninvolved as I want to be.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, if I want to be, getting really involved in the finer detail of the Newcastle show, I can be. If I just want to, I've sorted the venue out for you. That's the date. Yeah. Can you get on and sort it? They'll get on and sort it. So and that fits my working lifestyle at the present moment in time, and it gives me the opportunity at the same time to go and, I was at Tyson Fury's fight in LA. It gives me the opportunity to go to these fights all over the world.
Yeah.
And take boxing in, and it's something that I can share with my wife. It's something that I share with my oldest daughter and Chad, and some of my best friends. They're all into boxing, so we can share this together.
Social thing as
it's
well.
It's a social thing for us.
Living the dream.
And it's a dream, Before the Tyson Fury fight the night before, I was sat with Tyson. I was talking away to Frank Warren and talking to Tyson's trainer, and
sort of pinch yourself moments like.
It was really good. We enjoyed it, and
we've had a few moments like that as well. Like, not necessarily on that scale, but like we often say to each other, like, how the hell have we ended up here? How have we got into this situation?
I'm out here tonight thinking, how about just amazing. But have you had a favourite fight of all time that you've been to?
That I've been to? What? I have to
put on the spot.
Right on the spot there.
Not that I've actually. I don't think I've actually been to and seen a classic.
Everyone was decent,
well, I was about to say the Fury fight with the knockdown in the last round, and Louise he's managed to get himself back up off the floor. Then obviously the debate over the judging on it. And the atmosphere beforehand.
Must have been pretty special.
That was it was special. But I went to his fight against Klitschko, but it was a fairly dour event, to be honest with you. It was a good win, but the event itself was a bit flat. But I would say probably everything chucked in. It was probably that one.
And what about any fights you've seen? So you obviously had something in mind there.
The best fight I've ever seen was Ben General McClellan. But you'll not see a better fight than that.
Yeah.
How Ben managed to get through that and win that fight is...
Again, there's the similarities there. They looked like down and out. Well, obviously the first round with Ben, wasn't it? And again, somehow pulled himself into it.
In the end. That's the only downside. In the end, but for a fight, and then obviously going back the years to the Tommy Hearns fights and
that golden era.
That era. So, I would say the Ben McClellan fight's probably the best fight I've ever seen.
Do you think boxing pushes football? Any sort of level of passion for both?
Boxing's always been my passion above football.
Wow, okay.
Football's more regular.
Yeah.
So so football's every week. It's 3 times a week.
Yeah.
Where boxing might be once every 2 months or something like that. So it's the more regular sport. But actually, if somebody said to me, "Listen, there's a world title fight on there with 2 lads or one fighter that you really like, or you can go and watch Assport Everton, go and watch Everton," I'd go watch a boxing fight.
See, I think football was always our first love, but then over time I'm leaning more towards boxing.
I think so, and especially since we started this, I think it just
you see a different side to it, and just what you were saying there, it's like, because like my frustrations when fights don't happen and all that, and there's lots goes around it, when something in boxing does come together, it's more special, I think. And
to be honest with you, the Premiership footballers put me off football a little bit, to be honest with you. All the falling over and they get tapped and touched and they fall down, and the fit fellas, there's absolutely no doubt about that, but I'd like to see them go and do 10 rounds of sparring with any of the lads in the gym.
Well, that's it, I guess.
Like Rio Ferdinand tried it, didn't he? And didn't get his licence.
And I think you're right, football evolves, but I guess boxing is fundamentally the same as it ever was. 2 blokes in a ring, 2 women in the ring, gloves on, trying to take each other's heads off, I guess, and that'll always be the case, you know what I mean?
There's something like simplistic about it, isn't it?
There is something simplistic, and the training, it's evolved, but not evolved to the extent that football stuff's evolved.
Don't get me wrong, saying simplistic, it's obviously not easy.
Just staying on that, actually, sorry, that's what I was saying to you on Saturday, when we were driving to London and back, I was like, if we could do this every week, it never diminishes that passion, do you know what I mean? We'd go anywhere we could, couldn't we? And I think that's, you're the same, you absolutely love it, and it shines through as well, so I think that can only help the lads down at MTK as well, can't it? And
the missus gets frustrated on a Saturday because
we're
not going out tonight. Are we not going out tonight, guys? Well, there's some boxing on.
I'm like, we're going to Lancaster Street.
Or we have to go somewhere where the boxing is going to be on. I'll actually ring round the local pubs, have you got the boxing on tonight? Alright, well, I'm not coming. So, kind of, if there's a big fight on, And it's the build up. What Matchroom and Eddie Hilden's done is terrific. That build up to some of them fights, although you know for a fact they actually in some instances he has me convinced it's a close fight. Going into the fight, he has me convinced it's a close fight. Where at the beginning of the week, I'm not even going to pay for that. It's a total waste of time. By the time I get to the end of it, I'm actually doubting my own sanity that it's going to be a close fight, and I've ended up paying for it. And at the end of it,
Bellew here
had me again.
Was the prime example of that for me. Bellew here too. I convinced myself. I was like, he was shot to bits the first fight. He's had injuries since. He hasn't. Blah blah. The fight's been delayed. There's no way he's fit. There's no way he's got better. And I thought, as he says, the fight week approached, I was like, actually, there's me 20 quid. I'll sit and watch it. And then as soon as it ended, I was annoyed with myself. I was like, why have I done that? I knew what was going to happen. And
well, I actually thought he would win the first fight, if I'm honest.
I did the first one, same.
And then I was talking to Frank Warren in Dubai, and I asked him, who do you think will win? And he said, Bellew will win easy. And I was like, are you sure? Same as you. He did his ankle. If he hadn't done it, if he hadn't done his ligament, would he have been? He might have still won the fight, and he might have recovered. And I'm not convinced that his training camp was the best training camp. And I think you might be shocked. That was my first impression. And then that was, to be honest with you. And then Frank Warren, to be fair, was like, no. Here's done. Bellew wins. And he actually said he'll probably stop him this time. And I was like quite surprised by that because he hasn't been stopped very often. Actually, I think he's only been stopped once. Carl Thompson, wasn't it?
You'd only lost to Klitschko apart from that before the.
Yeah, was he stopped?
No, he went a distance against Klitschko.
It was only Thompson.
It was only Carl Thompson. Yeah, right. It stopped him.
So I was like, stop him as well. I wanted Bellew to win because I've got family from Liverpool. He's an Everton, big Everton fan. And I've always liked Tony Bellew as a boxer, and I was desperate for Tony to win, but that's the great thing about boxing, isn't it?
Absolutely. I guess it was shown at the weekend with that Sam Maxwell. As the last one they knocked out, that was unbelievable, and it's just that still the footage is still going around today, and like from the weekend, the last 10 seconds of the fight, losing the fight, his opponent was good, and then he just put him on his back, and you think that's why. We get all in the nitty gritty of it, and we get our frustrations, Andrew especially.
That fight,
That's it,
actually was on the other channel to
it was on BT.
To what do you call it? Charlie Edwards. And Charlie Edwards at some point in that, I remember I think it was the third or fourth round, starts play acting,
sticking his tongue out,
and he goes back to his corner, and his coaches had a proper go at him, and I thought, good on you, because the last thing you want to be doing is taking that sort of risk, because he was going to win the fight comfortably if he just kept doing what he was doing. And that kid subsequently who fought Maxwell his coach must be thinking, what have you done?
We noticed that, didn't we? I came to stand next to you at the arena, and you went back in. His coach, Charlie Edwards, his coach was going mental with him.
You could hear it over everyone.
His coach is giving him a right going over here for that, and it was obvious. And like you say, the French guys, I can't remember his name on Saturday. His coach must be.
Well, what must they be thinking now? They could have had probably one of his best wins on his record there. And
Exactly.
Why? That's why we love the sport, I guess, isn't it? Moments like that. Any more, Andrew?
I don't think so. I mean,
just
pretty much it.
Do you want to sum up, guys, just going forward, and what people can look forward to this year with MTK?
We're going to put 4 good shows on this year. Obviously, 2 big shows at the basketball arena and 2 dinner shows. I think that all I want to do. I love the sport, but I also love the Northeast, and I like to see the Northeast thriving and doing well. And I think, things like sportsmen coming through and going on to win titles galvanises a region. People have got something to get behind. I was gutted Lewis lost that European title fight because there was every chance he was going to go for a world title fight, and in Newcastle.
And even in that short space of time, you could see everyone sort of building up behind him.
Building it up,
Shearer got involved, everyone was just
there. Shearer was there. I think I was sat, I think next to him actually during the fight. So everybody was there. It was a proper event, but I just, hopefully one day we'll get somebody who'll come out of the region.
Yeah.
I'd love him to be an MTK lad.
Of course.
That goes on and and pushes on to another level and is now hopefully one of them pay-per-view fighters. And that's what I'd love to see that happen. And if we can help get them there, then that would be great. If we can't, because if we don't get to that world title person, and that, at the end of it, I can look at it and go, see that kid there, he fulfilled his potential. He had every chance to go as far as he could, and he got there because we gave him as much support as we could. Same with that kid there, Darren Ray, Chad, Jay Hughes, anybody who comes in the gym, anybody who gets linked to us is, we'll give you the best possible opportunity to fulfill your dreams.
Yeah.
Right? And the more people who fulfill the dreams, the more areas like the Northeast galvanise behind it. And one day, just one day, we might just get that pay-per-view champion.
That'd be amazing.
It would be great, And it's like, it's the same with football. It's the same with any sport. And to be fair, my main passion is boxing. But if we had a great sporting person coming through who needed that sponsorship, that support, that I thought, if that person can go and achieve it, will galvanise people behind it and take the Northeast with it, I'd sponsor that person as well. It's not just about bringing boxers through and a bit of football. What I won't put money into is Premiership football, because there's enough money around Premiership football. They've got enough opportunity. They've got enough opportunity to fulfil their dreams, right? And it gets, every other sport gets sidetracked for Premiership football.
So is that, I guess that ties in with your football background as well. I know you've been involved, down the lower pyramid of Northeast football, and I guess that's what you're saying. You want to help the underdogs, and you want to help grassroots level. And
the football was more that. To be fair, I love being in the changing room, and and I love that atmosphere. I love that. That was me Saturday. I was brought up. That was me Saturday. That's what I did, and now I wasn't ready to let that go. But I loved turning around that football club. It had gone, nearly gone out of business the year before, and we ended up winning titles and cups, and galvanised that football club, and hopefully we'll do it again at West Auckland. There's a great story there, the first ever World Cup winners, but that story's not shared enough. I actually tell people a story, and they sit there going, that's not true. I'd have to go on Google and then you read it for yourself.
It's like my girlfriend's from Bishop Auckland, so she knew that as well. Like, I thought, I'll drop this in, and she's like, I know that. Like, my dad told me that years ago, and it's just like the people in that tiny little sort of area know it, and no one else does.
And it's really sad because what an amazing story.
There's a quality bit of heritage there, and as I say, if you can build on that,
I like to see the Northeast thrive, and hopefully we can help the boxers through. If there's other sports people out there that we think that have the ability to do something special that galvanises the region behind them, well, let's get behind them and support them and help them achieve that. In between time, we'll support the boxers the best we can, and I just think that over the years, you lads have hit the nail on the head. The Northeast boxers have had a raw deal.
Massively,
a real raw deal. You've got to be able to sell tickets to be able to actually fight and fulfil your potential. How is that linked to being good at your sport? Are you a good boxer or are you a good ticket seller?
That's right.
You don't have to be both. Well, you have to be both, unfortunately, but you have had to be. Sorry.
Well, that was the exception of us, really. Not to bore people with this backstory, but we just go to a lot of local shows following a kid called Johnson McClumfer from Sunderland, who no longer fights, but I used to work with his dad, and we sort of got into the local shows there, and we picked up the book for it, didn't we? And messaged him one day, do you want to start a boxing website? And it sort of went from there, didn't it?
That was literally, I was off work, I'm a teacher, so I was on half-term holidays, I was like, yeah, I'll knock a website together, how hard can that be? Easy done.
We just put a passion for like Northeast boxing, and obviously called ourselves British Boxing Blog, and we've been all over the country with it and loved it. You were at Goodison when Bellew won.
You were talking about Bellew there, I was like, that was my best one I've seen live, was him winning his world title at Goodison Park.
I missed that one.
I'm not even necessarily a massive fan of him, but exactly, it was just like you could see what it meant to him, and it was one sort of occasion where, like, being in the press section, normally everyone's a bit reserved and impartial, and everyone was like on their feet applauding, and then in the conference, at the press conference afterwards, everyone was like tapping him on the back and like just buzzing for him. It was amazing.
Well, that's where I came from. From watching it was just sort of, probably should have called us a Northeast Boxing Blog at times, but just to do what we can do to push people to help spread. We'll do it for whatever MTK show comes up, and we'll do as much as we can on social media and just try and bang that drum a bit, because
that's the thing.
We get forgetting about it.
With all respect, obviously Liverpool is like seen as a hotbed of boxing. Like Manchester's the same. Yeah. Obviously London's a massive catchment, and we were just a bit sick of actually there are some decent lads in the northeast that need to be sort of showcased nationally a bit.
Like Frank Warren's flirted with it up here before, but Smith Williams too was a bit of a disaster ticket wise, and
because you need that figurehead, don't you? Like as you saying, that one, somewhat that what an individual or a cluster of fighters that they can get behind.
Bradley Saunders, but he's Sedgefield and doesn't have the same pull as say Richard had. The black and white shorts playing races. There wasn't that emotional sort of
attachment to
let's get behind Bradley Saunders and Sedgefield. You know what I mean? Whereas I think.
But then the first fight, the arena, he got injured and didn't fight.
But then the Richard one died. But then.
Richard's one's
he might come back.
Richard's one's not over yet.
No, definitely not.
It wasn't the best performance at the weekend from.
It wasn't.
No, not at all.
I mean, it was a lot closer. I didn't agree that it was a draw. By the way, I thought he won.
I thought he won
2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But a lot of the rounds are very, very close as well. So you can see why Matthew Macklin scored that a draw as well. And he's probably the best judge out there in my opinion. However, there's every chance for him to come back.
Oh, I think so too. I think that's why we wanted to be there as well.
I genuinely think he was rushed.
Of course he was.
100%
he was rushed.
We'll cut this bit. That was very
right. I think, like you look how many fights he had in that period of time. Just one to the other, one to the other, and then suddenly it was like, right, you were going for the European.
Because you're going to sell out the arena.
Yeah.
Because you're going to sell out the arena.
That's what you were saying there.
There you go.
But Matthew got the best, and I guess not the worst, but the Geordie Golovkin, Shearer, everyone.
Yeah, but that was the thing. Like he did the business in the ring, and there was all that hype surrounding him. Which again, it's essential in a way because it all fed into that and getting everyone behind him. But then suddenly, all his performances are being scrutinised massively. And he didn't knock the kid out, so he's absolutely rubbish. And so obviously that's not the case.
It felt that night that he had the region on his shoulders really to if you don't win this then. But that shouldn't be the way, like you say. There shouldn't just be that only way to rely on that one matchroom fighter to explode it. You know what I mean? And I don't know. He just looked like a bit of a rabbit in the headlights. That Patel. It looked a bit too much of him. I think.
But he was winning the fight early, and then it just sort of faded away, as you say. But it's like, as you say, it shouldn't necessarily all be pinned on that one
I hope he comes back to maybe not a world title, but. Like you say, fulfill his potential because he's a good kid. Good family.
I'm fairly sure at some point in his career he'll get a world title shot.
Yeah,
I genuinely think
he'll get a
world title shot at some point. Who that's against, and he'll
that
need
determines what happens with that.
The right matching to get to that world title fight.
But that's when you rely on the big backing of Matchroom.
But
he's already got his
doing that.
He's already got his WBA ranking now, and it's sort of negotiating him there. So he's got that belt in 18 months' time or whatever.
And if they're clever from here, there's every chance he'll fight for a world title in the future.
Because it could be a special place, the arena when it's sold out, and you're like, that was, like you said, the atmosphere that night was electric, and I guess it reminded you like when Newcastle were good in the 90s. Bloody hell, if this club could take off, or if this region could take off, then it's unstoppable.
That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
That one, a lot of people that had never even seen him fight before, but one person can galvanise so many people to get behind. And if something is happening in the northeast, everybody gets behind it. When Newcastle was great in the 90s, everybody was behind it, getting involved in it. And there's a great feel about the place when something like that's happening. It just doesn't happen enough.
Yeah.
You know, and as far as boxing is concerned, it's because they're not given the opportunities, in my opinion. They haven't had enough opportunity in the past, and if we can help, you know, help that in the future, so that if the talent is there, you've got no reason not to fulfill that talent, fulfill your talent, and if that talent is a world title, then they've got no reason not to fulfill that talent.
Is it area that MTK would look at or look to try and like improve upon is when good amateur turns over to be like, come here, like, because I know that can be hard. Say Josh Kelly, basically, he might as well not be fought. You know, he's got.
We just signed the lad Gare from Bury, who's the #1 cruiserweight amateur at the present. He's fighting on the show.
In a few weeks, weren't you?
He's fighting on the show in May.
Fantastic.
He's the #1 cruiserweight in the UK, amateur cruiserweight. That answers your question. And MTK are also putting on big amateur competitions now as well.
Yeah, I've seen that on their media and things.
Which is, again, it's not just about pro boxing, it's about bringing them through line. From the amateur, the supply line coming through. So that, you know, you've got that lad making his debut on the show. You know, highly talented boxer. You know, he's got a great chance. You know, so there's an example of MTK catching them early and bringing them through.
I think that ties in directly with what you were saying, Gary, about, you know, wanting to build that. If you can get them from the amateur stage, from that very early stage, you know, or like pre-stage of the pro career, you can build them through all the way, and everything we've talked about, you know, guiding them, matchmaking them, carefully managing them correctly, taking the pressure off them straight away from day one.
Ticket sales,
it's all going to maximise, hopefully, their potential.
If they've already got a trainer and they're happy with that trainer, we're not going to say, well, you've got to train with Gary. You know what I mean? That's their. You know, Gary, we've got a facility there. If you want to use it, you want to train, great. There's no pressure for you to have to, you know, for you to have to be trained by Gary. There's no pressure whatsoever. If you're happy with your current trainer, stay with your current trainer. There's no reason. I mean, you know, it's already getting regularly used for sparring sessions, you know, with other gyms, etc. So, you know, if they want good quality sparring, we'll have a decent enough camp to bring good quality sparring. We have to send the lads down across to Liverpool and Manchester and Leeds for good quality sparring at the present moment in time. You know, and we should be able to go more good quality sparring in the North East.
How much do you enjoy working alongside Gary?
Yeah. Honestly, it's good. I mean, he's he loves his boxing. He's committed to he wants to be a good trainer.
Definitely.
You know, he wants to be a good trainer, and he wants his fight. He wants to look after his fighters. You know, we've had some discussions about, you know, whether a fighter should take. One of the lads should take a specific fight, and you know, you know, in one of the instances, I thought it was an easy win, and Gary wasn't too sure, so we didn't take the fight, and then the Carl Redfern one, neither of us wanted that.
That was the one I was so referred to, that one.
And I didn't want the fight because I didn't see the benefit. Carl had to knock him out for a start. Secondly, he was a relatively unheard of German boxer, so I didn't see what it was going to do for his record in the UK. Right? Gary just didn't think it was the right fight at the right time.
Was that Kyle's just insistence?
And it was, the reality is, at the end of the day, Kyle's 32 now. He's not like he's 21, 22-year-old.
No.
At the end of the day, it's that person's career. All I can ever do is guide them and help them to make the right decisions. Kyle wanted that fight, and he insisted on the fight, and you know, Gary didn't want it. He was a bit annoyed about it. I didn't really want him to take the fight, but he wanted the fight, and you know what? I'll tell you, there you are, Kyle. If you want the fight, I'll get the fight for you, right? You know, and unfortunately it backfired on him, but you know, that's boxing. He came out, by the way. He came out his next fight, and he got over that, and he went and won his next fight. And, you know, and he put in a good performance.
It's interesting you saying that. It almost brings us full circle. And we're talking about Joshua at the start and earlier on tonight, and everyone blames Eddie Hearn, they blame Al Heyman, Frank Warren, whoever's representing the fighters. But you said there, from your point of view anyway, it's that fighter's decision. If they're adamant that they want that fight, and again, it's a slightly different context there, but it can be made, and obviously it can be done. It's your job to get the fighter what he wants, rather than the other way around.
And the reality is, I genuinely believe if somebody turned around to Anthony Joshua and said, listen, Anthony Joshua, you can fight Deontay Wilder on 50-50 basis, right? 50-50 purse at Wembley Stadium, right, with a rematch on a 50-50 basis. I genuinely think Anthony Joshua would snap the hand off.
Same.
I agree, right? 100%.
Yeah.
The problem is Eddie Hearn will never allow that to happen.
And Anthony Joshua's team of 20 other advisors.
They won't allow that to happen. Anthony Joshua would take that fight.
But that's why then the boxing needs that team around him, you could argue, isn't it?
And it's,
that's why he's now a multi-millionaire.
To be fair, but most of Matchroom posted a big profit last year. A lot of it came off the back of, off the back of Anthony Joshua and Tony Bellew, to be fair.
Yeah.
But so he is the golden goose in there. But I'm fairly sure that if that offer was put on the table, and if it was Joshua's decision, he would take it tomorrow. That fight would have already taken place. And he'll beat Deontay Wilder as well, by the way. He will beat Deontay, unless he gets caught, which
that's
can happen.
I was going to say that's the risk, but that's the main risk of Wilder, isn't it? In fact, he's got that power.
He's got this,
which is why there's so much intrigue around him.
He's got the skinniest pair of legs you've ever seen.
It's
unreal.
Like a basketball player.
I went to watch Kovalev against Andre Ward in Vegas the first time around, and me and the missus were about 7-8 rows behind, and there's this fella sat in front of us with his girlfriend. He stands up and he's about 6'8", and I clicked to it was Deontay Wilder. And he kept standing up in front of me all the time. So eventually I was like, I nudged the missus. I says, if he does that again, will you tell him to sit down?
I certainly wouldn't tell him.
But he had the skinniest pair of legs you could ever imagine. It was unbelievable. And where he gets this power, he's only 15 stone 5 or something like
he's
that.
He's not a massive heavyweight. Apart from his height.
I got on the scales the other day. I was 15 too. I was horrified. I'm thinking, Deontay Wilder's only 2 pounds heavier than me.
MTK made a bin.
But it was so yeah. But I do genuinely. I fancy Joshua Strong to win that fight. I really do. I do think Joshua's limited as well, by the way, and I think he is overhyped. I came out of the Klitschko Tyson Fury fight, and as I was in the taxi back to the hotel, I said to myself, Klitschko's finished. His legs have gone. Tyson Fury's, that was too easy for Tyson Fury. I don't even think he broke into third gear, to be fair. Klitschko's legs have gone. Right, he's finished. Then to see him, and then the fight against Joshua, Klitschko lost that fight. Joshua didn't win it. Klitschko lost it.
He let him off the hook.
He let him off the hook. Right. He had him done, and I think it was his brother in the corner was telling him to take a step back. And by which time, because he's 38, 39, I think he gassed. But he lost that fight. As much as Joshua won the fight. Credit Joshua getting up and knocking him out, but Klitschko should have finished it. So that kind of his performance against Joshua kind of made me doubt Joshua a little bit.
Yeah. People
have looked at it and said, "Oh, that's cemented Joshua as a fighter." I've actually took the other opinion because I watched Klitschko.
It showed holes in his game. I think he's overhyped Joshua to a certain extent when people start comparing him to like the previous generations and how he would have done. But you've just said this yourself there that he beats Wilder. Obviously the Fury, I think I'd favour Fury, to be honest. But like they're the top 3 heavyweights in the world at the moment. So if Joshua beats Wilder, he's still 1 or 2 in the world, isn't he?
But then if they all avoid each other, it's just like...
Well, they've all gone to separate routes.
What's wrong with the old Ali Frazier and the likes? All wanted to fight, and Frazier would beat Ali.
I was going to say they all beat each other, and then it helped cement their legacy.
Exactly.
And you've got these 3 now talking about legacy, and then their actions are saying totally different things because they just say, "Oh, we'll have this routine defence. I'll fight him."
Broadcasters, different deals, and it makes you think, well, will it ever happen?
Was it Ken Norton kept beating? There was about 4 or 5 of them at the time, weren't there? Foreman against Frazier and Norton, and they were all beating each other, and it didn't matter.
It hasn't affected them.
No, because they were all great fights. The public got what they wanted.
They remember those fighters.
People remember them for being proper fighters. They'll fight what's put in front of them, and it's not,
Klitschko, for example, as good as they are, they're mainly remembered, especially Vlad, for not really having fought anyone of any.
You mentioned Nigel Benn before, and he's still, people of a certain era absolutely love Nigel Benn, and Eubank, Steve Collins, all that lot, and you talk to your dad, great days those, and you're like, what do you
That's
talk
where the frustration comes in.
What do you tell your kids about TV deals?
Right, personally.
You still get a bit of. You still got some.
But that's what I was saying. When all that frustration, that one good fight does come along, you really embrace it and you get on board with it.
Turns, the world stops for boxing when it's like that, and
unfortunately, these 2 different TV channels in America. I mean, the 3 that are hurting it a little bit, but there's still some great fights being made.
Absolutely.
And you've got the likes of Canelo fight anybody. Tyson Fury, his last 2 fights, apart from the 2 warm-up fights in between, his last 2 fights, he's gone to Germany, and he went to America.
Oh, it's what you're saying there. The boxers themselves, fearless, like Fury especially. You fight
and
anyone
in between,
anywhere.
he's had a couple of warm-up fights, and to be fair, I genuinely, I was saying, I think Deontay, it's a fight or 2 too soon. I'd like to see him a couple more.
I think Wilder thought that as well.
Yeah,
I think that's why they've agreed to fight Fury.
And
it's
that's
so
why
easy to make.
In a strange way, he's now getting a bit of criticism for fighting this Tom Swartz. But to be fair, he still needed a couple of warm-up fights before he fought Deontay Wilder.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if he's going to go and fight Joshua and beat Joshua, I still think he needs a couple more. Still a couple more fights will just make him even better.
That's the if, isn't it? It's like if he does go on and fight Joshua, everyone will sort of grant him the Tom Schwartz fight and say, that's fine.
Then great. If it's not, and if this is going to be the norm, then that's where you mentioned before with Joshua, he's on that precipice now.
With Joshua it's the norm. With Fury it won't be the norm. It won't be the norm because Fury's not that type of character. I don't think Joshua will, but with Fury he wants to be known for taking the big fights. He's done it.
He has done it.
He's gone wherever he's had to go to take the fight
against the odds, rather than having everything in his favour.
And his last fight against him, it wasn't as big a robbery as people make it out to be, because of the 2 knockdowns.
Yeah.
Right. So there was 10-8 rounds in there. There's 4. There's
4 points.
There's 4 points there. I had him winning by 1 or 2 rounds, right?
Yeah.
But because of the 2 knockdowns, and that made it a lot tighter than people seemed to think it was. But he still won the fight. Absolutely won that fight.
Do you think they've missed a trick, not immediately going again? It looked like it was there. Just the way it ended, the knockdowns, everything about it. You just thought, let's just do it again. The world wants to see it. And do you think maybe they'll shoot themselves in the foot, not doing it immediately again, or do you think they'll do it again at a later date?
I've got no doubt they'll do it again in a later date, and I think that he put on a great performance, and I think he did that when I for one was saying it's 1 or 2 fights too soon. So to be fair, has he not earned the right to take a couple of? I've never seen this kid fight, by the way.
No,
I've just looked at his record and thought, I'm going to go on YouTube and watch a few of his fights before I phone. We might all be wrong here. He might have a real exactly. But if he is a run-of-the-mill German heavyweight, Tyson's earned the right to have a couple of them fights because he has always just gone and fought wherever they put in front of him, and he's gone wherever he's had to go and do it. Joshua's had plenty of them. Deontay Wilder just makes it. He doesn't fight anybody.
Made his career out of them.
Exactly. So there's no, but there is that edge, and if they walk to the edge and they don't take the big fights at some point, that's when you lose your audience, isn't it?
Yeah, because as you say, because Joshua's had a few of them, Wilder's had plenty. Yeah. The patience is running a little bit thin, and I think Fury's just sort of come into that mix. but he's still attracting that sort of frustration a little bit from fans.
And people want honesty out of everybody. The great thing, Tony Bellew. When Tony Bellew was fighting at heavyweight, he never once turned around and said, I want to fight Anthony Joshua, or I want to fight Tyson Fury, I want to fight these big fellas, because he knew he actually categorically says, I don't want to fight them because they'll
there was the talk, wasn't there, when he was doing the pundit with Wilder, and afterwards he came out, he's like, his hand was the size of my head, there's like not a chance I'm fighting him.
Exactly. So he knew that he wasn't going to be fighting them guys, and he didn't set out going, oh yeah, get me Joshua, get me Tyson Fury, get me, whoever. He never made them statements. He said, no, I will beat David here. That's all I'm telling you, is I will beat David here.
Yeah. It was solely for that purpose, wasn't it? That was the
right.
That was his only venture and everywhere.
And credit to him for that. I think the pressure's on Joshua to have the fight. He needs to step up.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
It's Klitschko's the main name on his card, on his thing, and I'm sure he was 39 at the time. And when I came out at Dusseldorf, having watched Tyson Fury, dance rings around him for 12 rounds, I genuinely said to Mrs. he's finished.
He's gone,
I was amazed when he took the fight. He's talked about making a comeback.
Yeah, apparently so, Dillian White, wasn't it?
Why don't you? Do you know what I mean? And
I can't see that happening
now, can you? Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing, but you don't want it.
But see, Dillian White. Now, I think Dillian White's very limited, right? I really do. I think he's very, very limited, and I think that his last fight against Chisora before the knockout was very, very close. I know Chisora's improved a bit, but
he's not the benchmark of an elite heavyweight, is he?
Exactly. I don't see how he beats Joshua at any point unless now Joshua is he's the left hook. He doesn't defend the left hook particularly, and Dillian White does have a good left hook. However, I think that he'll fight anybody. He will. If you said to him, "Go and fight such and such now," Deontay Wilder, he'll be on a plane in his fight. So credit to him for that.
And that's the thing.
As you say, for a limited, and he's not awful or bad by any means, but overall limited. Right. The position he's got himself into.
He's in a tricky position now because he can't get a fight, and you're like, well.
He's avoided, but almost for a different reason. And they're like, well, there's a bit of risk there, but there's not the reward of fighting each other like Joshua Wilder, Fury, we've talked about.
Job with him and Eddie Hearn from that point of view.
They have, but they've shot themselves in the foot with that, haven't they? They've built him up, and now he's at the point where he's valued himself ahead of Joshua, like not ahead of Joshua, but overvalued himself for that fight.
No, he's built himself up, and he's put himself in a position where he, like you say, he's struggling to get fights, and and like I said, I think he's still in the top 8 in the world.
Just below that.
I know you could argue top 4, like if you compare him with like Povetkin. Obviously he's beaten Parker as well, which is a good win for him. Very close fight. If we'd gone on maybe 15 rounds, might not have won, but like he's got that win on his record. So again, he's impressed me. I wasn't particularly a big fan of his earlier on, as you say. I thought Joshua's beaten. Why is he? He's ahead of his station a bit, but he's beaten him and they're putting in front of him, and he's built himself into that pay-per-view attraction.
I always thought they would do Joshua White too. I thought it was nailed on from the first.
I think it was. I think they thought that as well, though, until
get the old rivalry back on.
But because they've given Dillian his own pay-per-view shows, he's now at the point where he's like, well, actually, no, I'm not going to just bend over and take what you give him.
I'm not just going to be a little B-side of Joshua.
So he's on getting in the mandatory position for that.
No, it's all good stuff, and I think that in all of that you're talking about, the MTK is in the centre of everything that's happening there.
Absolutely,
everything that's happening there. They've got fighters at every elite level. And, so many elite fighters at the present moment in time.
Frampton, Fury, the list goes on. Saunders,
Billy Joe Saunders,
Conlon on the up.
Conlon.
I give him a shout out.
They're amazing,
like every big show, every sort of big event in boxing now, it's got MTK all over it.
And if we can bring a little bit of that to the northeast, just
a
little bit of that,
that'll do.
That hopefully we can have a much more vibrant boxing scene in the
absolutely
that the general public are getting behind. It's only recently that they've started doing spending much time in the local papers writing about it. You know, there's the article in the Sunday Sun now that gets done, but you know, hopefully they keep that going because that's bringing people to the front of mind. And
any exposures, good exposure, any publicity.
You know, so
we help any way we can. What we Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, a lot. We'll plug it as much as we can. We'd be there as well.
That works well for us as well. Like, the bigger the profile of the boxing in the region, the more hits we get and things like that.
I tell you what would be fantastic, you know, if we could get a good heavyweight out the northeast. You know what I mean? It doesn't even have to be going to fight for a while, but even to fight European, you know, to fight European level from the northeast. You know, that would be you know, you would see the northeast public really getting out, and that would be amazing.
Well, like that's what it is. We've just been talking there for 20 minutes about it, and it's still that division where people want to see the big lads go at it, you know, and it's that blue chip division, isn't it? People still want to see knockouts in. But that would be amazing, 100%.
We'll wrap up there.
Yeah.
About 20 minutes since we said summarise.
You can edit it.
Thank you very much for your time, Gary.
No problem.
Thank you.